It's car con carne. Let's eat in the car. It's car con carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
This right here is Car con Carne. Car con Carne is a Q101 podcast of James Van Alstyne. Car con Carne is sponsored by Easy Automation, easy-automation.net. If you're looking to transform your home, office, or business into a smart, seamlessly connected space, Easy Automation delivers custom automation solutions that are tailored to your lifestyle. Whether you're upgrading your home entertainment, streamlining your office tech, or enhancing the atmosphere in your restaurant or sports bar, they've got you covered. Their expert team designs and installs personalized systems, from smart lighting and climate control to audio-video distribution and robust Wi-Fi networks, all managed through an intuitive app on your favorite device. Easy Automation makes technology work for you effortlessly, reliably, and always with your satisfaction guaranteed. Visit easy-automation.net or call my guy Dan. He's at 630-730-3728 and take control of your environment today. Car con Carne also sponsored by Exploding House Printing. Exploding House can help you with all of your screen printing, embroidery, and merch needs. They are truly local. I'm sitting here by Montrose and Richmond on the north side. They're probably 10 minutes from here. They're over in Hermosa, and they focus on small businesses, bands, brands, everything in between. They've worked on products for Meatwave, Empty Bottle, The Music Box, the Chicago Botanic Garden, Dante's Pizzeria, so many others. You can see their list at explodinghouseprinting.com. And Jonathan, the guy behind Exploding House, he's been doing this for decades. He knows what he's doing. So besides technical expertise, he's able to deliver production efficiency and cost awareness to offer boutique print shop quality at much lower large print shop prices. Check them out on Instagram at Exploding House, or go to their website or email info@explodinghouseprinting.com and get yourself a quote. So, The Flock is a national level band that launched out of Chicago starting back at the beginning of the Nixon administration. I have that timeline right?
You got that.
They're jazz, prog, rock, fusion, and clearly a group of guys that know how to play. They put out a few major label albums back in the day, a couple on Columbia, one on Mercury, and after a reunion show last year, we have another shot to tap into true Chicago music history as The Flock headlines Park West on Saturday, November 1st. I'm joined by Jerry Smith of The Flock.
Thanks for having me, James. Appreciate it.
Let's start right there with the Park West on November 1st. What does a show like that mean to you all these decades later?
Well, we were able to play at Ravinia last year, which I thought we opened Ravinia. That was phenomenal. But there's something really unique about the Park West. It's one of the premier clubs in the Midwest. And Jerry Goodman, our violinist, of course, who played with Mahavishnu Orchestra and the Dregs and so forth, we've reformed the band. That is his favorite venue ever. We played Royal Albert Hall in England. We played all over Europe. This is his favorite spot. So
it's intimate. The sound is always good there.
Yes.
There's no bad sight line in the place.
Exactly.
I mean, as a fan, I love that venue.
There's a seat for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And as you say, the sound is amazing. The sight lines are great. The bars are open. And it's going to be a heck of a ride for us in a couple of weeks.
The bars are always open. Now, we are several decades past prime Flock. Are you guys still hitting the bars before or after a show?
Never. Never.
I was going to say, those days probably are in the rear view.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So the band lineup that you're playing with, same lineup as last year at Ravinia?
Yes. Same lineup as Ravinia. And we've added, of course, you may be aware we've added Howard Levy, who was a 2-time Grammy Award winner, 4-time Grammy nominee. He co-founded Bela Fleck and the Flecktones, and he's considered to be the man on harmonica. He also is a classically trained pianist. He's played with symphonies. He's played keyboard with symphonies. He's played his harmonica with symphonies. So we're so proud to have Howard. He resides in Evanston. And it just made sense. And he and Jerry had recorded several albums together back in the 80s. And we do some of that material that Jerry wrote.
Fantastic. So I want to go back to the beginning, because there are people who may not be aware of the Flock, people younger than me, even people my age. Starting here in Chicago, I mean, everything was different. The live music landscape was different.
Yep.
The understood path to success, very different. I think the path in the current day is probably unrecognizable to someone who came up in the 60s.
Sure. We had what they call teen clubs. We didn't have YouTube, obviously. We had a couple of TV shows like the Midnight Special and some dance shows and that. But kids either went to the movies on the weekend or they went to teen clubs where there's no alcohol served. It's strictly soft drinks and whatever. And a lot of these places were like VFW halls that were converted on the weekend to clubs. Like the Green Gorilla, the Pink Panther, things that had...
Those sound so much like relics of that era.
Absolutely. And there were a lot of groups that came out of Chicago back then. I'm sure a lot of your listeners know about the Crying Shames and the Buckinghams and the Ides of March. We were all friends. And we were, in fact, some of the bands were managed by the same management company.
So there's no competition between...
That's right. People ask about that. There were so many places to play, and we all visited. We were on the same circuit. If we didn't play that place on a Saturday, we were there the next week or the week after. There were gigs, I mean, like crazy. It was a different scene. And I'm speaking just locally in the Chicago area. At the time that we started, we were a 5-piece group, and we had 2 guitars, bass, drums, and a saxophone. And we were kind of like a blue-eyed soul music that mixed in Beatles. We did Beatle harmonies really well, and it was fun, and people came out to see us, and we were popular.
Well, was everyone doing Beatle harmonies at that point?
Other groups, you're saying?
Yeah.
To some extent. Like the song Paperback Writer is a very difficult song to get the harmonies down on. We did it. I mean, we got it down. I don't think anybody else that I had heard that played or they didn't play Paperback Writer.
Right.
But
that's a skip.
That's a neat song. But at some point, and this is where the flock really took off, we had a friend that grew up a couple years younger than us in Rogers Park by the name of Jerry Goodman, who played guitar. Now, I didn't even realize he was a classically trained violinist. His parents were in the Chicago Symphony. They were violinists in the Chicago Symphony.
So he came by that honestly.
Absolutely. His parents, I mean, he had like 4 brothers, and they were all incredible musicians. But Jerry played guitar, and he was, believe it or not, our roadie when he was like 17, 18 years old. He carried equipment for the band.
Now, how old were you guys at that point? You couldn't have been much older.
A year older. 2 years maybe. At that point, I'd say a couple of years, maybe 18, 19. He was 17.
So he was the kid, but you guys were all kids.
Well, we were fun, And he grew up in Rogers Park, later moved to Highland Park. But what's interesting is one night, one of our guitar players was ill, and we were going to cancel the gig. And Jerry says, look, I know all your songs.
Sure.
I'll play them on guitar. Really? Yeah, don't cancel the gig. I'll play guitar. Well, he's a monster on guitar, and he could sing. So that led us to bring Jerry into the group. And as he's in the group, we're saying, we're working on these different kind of songs now. I mean, we went out and started smoking a little weed, and we were kids. And that was the thing that you did back then. Started opening our minds to other types of music that we had never really heard before. We just started playing around, and we said, Jerry, wouldn't it be interesting if you would pick up the violin maybe and try this? He goes, there's no violin in rock music. Let's just try it.
I was going to say, that seems unorthodox for that era.
It was.
Yeah.
I mean, you've heard of Jean-Luc Ponty. He was a jazz violinist from Europe. Outside of that, you didn't really hear of anybody at that time in the late 60s. So Jerry went out and bought a DeArmond acoustic pickup to go on the body, top of the violin, and he went through a wah-wah pedal into an amplifier. What's interesting is he understood, he was classically trained, but he understood the rock side of things that he kind of transposed to the violin. And with that, we were able to come up with some unique sounds.
Yeah.
We had, Tom Webb was in the band, and he was like a real beatnik hippie kind of great sax player, T.S. Henry Webb, who went on to local fame here as well. But it just kind of worked for us. And I lived near the Kinetic Playground, if you remember the Kinetic Playground. Okay, it was the old...
People who are unfamiliar, this was it. I mean, when you look at some of the bands who played the Kinetic Playground, Led Zeppelin, The Mothers, Steppenwolf, 10 years after, Velvet Underground, Muddy Waters, Deep Purple.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely. And I lived 4 blocks away, and somehow Aaron Russo, who owned the club, allowed us to rehearse there. And we had just started coming up with our own kind of unique sound that was different from the foot stomping kind of music that everybody was used to back then. And he caught this, and he said, "You know what? I want to become your manager." Well, we have a manager already. No, I never managed a group before, but I own this place. I have connections. I'm telling you, you guys have something special. And I'd like you not to play another gig anywhere. We'll debut the new Flock. Once you have 45 minutes worth of material, you let me know who you want to play with. Really? Yeah, so we actually came up with a set, which was 45 minutes long of material, which actually became our first album. All those tunes were first album was from our live set, basically, that we recorded in the studio. So we could have played with any of those bands you mentioned, because Aaron would just throw us in there. And we said, well, we don't want to get upstaged too much. How about this show? And it was John Mayall and Richie Havens. And this was March 7th and March 8th. My birthday's on March 8th, so I remember the dates. I think it was around 1969.
So is that where Mayall first saw and heard you?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So, I mean, we're just a local band.
Yeah,
We're just a local band. So it was 2 nights, Friday and Saturday, and they're coming to see Mayall. And a lot of people did come to see us as well, but we weren't headlining the show. We go on first. We got a standing ovation the first night. We got a standing ovation the second night. It was a joy. And it was all this new kind of music. And people were like, wow, what is that? How'd you do that? This harmonic note on the violin was blowing my eardrums out. How did you do that? So it was John Mayall that really set the group up. And he went back to England. And the British press had a meeting with him. And they said, hey, what's going on in America? Oh, I did this. And you hear any new groups or anything? He said, and this is a quote, because it's on the back of our liner notes on our first album. And he said, yeah, this group called The Flock, I don't know where they're from. It was the best band I ever heard in America. That's what got the phone calls going to Aaron. And the record labels were calling, the British record labels, and Aaron contacted Ahmet Ertegun, who came out to see us from A&M Records, and Dick Asher, the vice president of Columbia. Aaron set up a showcase for the band and invited all these record labels from England and Germany and all across the United States.
No pressure for you guys.
You know, we were kids. We just played our set, and they loved it because it was unique. Kind of, you talk about prog rock, it was really the beginning of that avant-garde jazz rock kind of sound that was really unique back then. And I do believe that people were willing to listen to new things, because we were on a set with I think Buffy St. Marie and The Who and us. I mean, 3 totally different types of music, and everybody loved it all. And so it was a different time. You know? It was a different time. And Columbia won out. We signed a 3-year contract for 6 albums.
Oh my God.
Which is 2 years. It's
3
crazy.
years?
3-year contract for an unknown band. And I'm not kidding you, it was for $300,000. Now that's over $1 million in today's money.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
It's like we're an unknown entity. So we did this showcase. Okay, did I talk to you like this?
Yes.
This is good?
Yeah.
Okay, great. We did the showcase at the Century Plaza Hotel. Every year, Columbia Records and their affiliates get together somewhere in the world to talk about the new products that are coming out. And so they were diversified in their acts that they had. You had R&B, you had rock, you had jazz, you had MOR, middle of the road, like, jazz kind of singers. And so one night at the Century Plaza was devoted to rock. And they had Pacific Gas and Electric, who was releasing their first album. Then they had us, the Flock, releasing their first album. Then they had Santana releasing their second album, and Chicago releasing their second album. And we all went up and did a set. Not a set, we did 2 songs.
Yeah.
As we get done with our song, we go backstage, and there's this group that comes rushing in. It was the German and Dutch contingency saying, "Where's this album? We got to get this album released." Well, it's in the can right now, and there's nothing, we don't have the artwork done. And if anybody picks up the first album, simply called The Flock, it's in black. It's a black and white photo taken in New York City with a telephoto lens. Jerry's on the back, and John Mayall writes the liner notes, and we got it out really quickly in Europe. About a month later, I get a call from Aaron Russo. "Your plane tickets are waiting at the airport." That's when you can have your tickets at the airport back then. There was no TSA, pre-TSA, any of that
you could have a cocktail with the pilot back in those days.
Oh,
before
for
you
sure,
jumped in.
for sure. If you want to walk in and pick up your mother, no problem. Just
Yeah.
go to the gate. So he says, "I got tickets. You're going to Amsterdam, and you're going to be on the Grand Gala du Disque, which is this huge event." And it's kind of like we were the sound of the 70s. It was 69, but we were going to be the next kind of new sound. And I remember there was the Four Tops on the show, and Bobby Gentry, and Jose Feliciano, Procol Harum. There were several different acts.
That's a diverse lineup.
And if you look at the album cover, on the back, Jerry has no shirt on. And he's jumping off of a drum riser, playing his violin, and his hair is flowing way up. And he's jumping like 4 feet. And so we're ready to go on stage, this revolving stage. And the Dutch guy says, no, Jerry, take your shirt off. He says, "I'm not going to take my shirt off. I don't want to take my shirt." He says, "Trust me, take your shirt off." He's a good-looking guy, had, great physique. And we started a song called Clown, which we're going to perform at Park West. And the stage rolls around. There's Jerry without his shirt playing this incredible gypsy classical rock violin. And we were an instant hit in Europe. The album wasn't even released in the United States just yet. So they set us up for a European tour, and we headlined all the shows.
That's amazing.
Yes, it's crazy.
That is amazing.
We had never been out of the country.
And it's just lightning in a bottle. You happen to be on that bill with Mayall.
Yes.
And, decades before the internet, word of mouth like that was everything.
Absolutely. And, Billboard was popular, and some of the other magazines that were out there, and people were listening to the radio and digging, live music. I mean, you can go, we talked about the Kinetic for $5. Now, that's not the same $5 today. It might be $20, but it's not $150 to see Led Zeppelin, or there was nothing more than $5.
I love that. And you mentioned Chicago putting out their second album just as you were on the cusp of putting out your first. Knowing that it wasn't competitive here, I feel like they would be the most in your wheelhouse, so to speak, in that time.
Yeah.
Did you get in each other's way is what I'm asking.
Not really. As far as the horns go, yes. Chicago was noted for a lot of horn bands. And, even like the Buckinghams originally they weren't a horn band. They became a horn band later when they were signed to Columbia as well. And Chicago, obviously, they made it in L.A. versus Chicago, but I knew all those guys. We all grew up together. And so there were some things that were similar, but really the music was as far apart as you can imagine. We weren't a commercial sound per se.
Right.
You know.
And that's what I was going to ask. I mean, was radio play something that Columbia wanted for you back in the day?
Yes. We had a couple of songs that they would cut down.
Mm-hmm.
We did a version of "Tired of Waiting" from the Kinks.
Sure.
We did our own version.
And you made it your own. Let's be clear.
Yes.
That doesn't
It
sound like
became
Ray
our
Davies.
own.
Yeah.
In fact, we had somebody from Europe contact us and say, "Guys, would you mind if we recorded your song? I want to ask you permission." It's like, that's not our. Thank you. Sure, go right ahead. So yeah, it was the time was right. You know, you mentioned it. It was the right time at the right place where everything met, and if it was a week later, it may not have happened.
Isn't that crazy?
Isn't it? That's life sometimes. That door opened for us, and it could have been a myriad of doors that we would have opened, and none of them would have taken us where it did. And we had great success. We did.
So the self-titled comes out in 16. Sorry, my headphone's cutting out. It's going to make me crazy.
Sorry.
So hopefully nothing goes haywire now the headphones are off. It's a very trusting thing for a host to do.
Oh, for sure.
So the self-titled album comes out in 69.
Right.
1 year later, because you're in this crazy 3-year deal, 2 albums a year. 1 year later, you put out Dinosaur Swamps.
Yeah.
It's a classic story of you had your entire career to have that first album come together with all the songs. Then you had to bang out a second album.
Yes, and what was interesting is we were on the East Coast playing with The Who. I think it was Boston College and a couple other places, and we took a break, and we said, we've got to write a second album. We've got to do this. It's due. So we drove to Cape Cod in outside the Boston area, and we rented some cottages, and on the way we passed Walden's Pond. Henry David Thoreau, famous for Walden's Pond, and it was kind of cold out. It was the winter, and the pond or lake was frozen over. We said, "Man, let's go out here and let's sit down on the ice." I mean, it could have been an inch thick, but we actually walked out and sat down.
Could have been a disastrous decision.
It could have been, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, again, we're kids, right?
Yeah, you're young.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Big signs. Do not enter.
Of course.
Okay, good. That means we can go. So we're sitting out there, again, smoking a little weed. I don't want to influence people.
It was the 60s, early 70s.
It was the 60s.
You're in a band. You're supposed to do that.
I
was part of the
haven't
rule
done
book.
it in 2 weeks. No, it's been 35 years or so. Anyhow, so we're sitting in Walden's Pond, and somebody says, "Man, it's like I feel like we're back into prehistoric days. A lot of woods around, and the sky was clear. And I'll never forget this. There was a jet plane flying over with its vapor, smoke vapor coming out of the plane, and the plane was headed away. And the vapor comes across Walden's Pond, and we look up and we said, my God, we're in Dinosaur Swamps, which we named our second album. And we went to, we spent a couple of weeks on the ocean in these cabins writing the material. And a lot of it was based on the water. And if you listen to some of the songs, Mermaid and Hornschmeyer's Island, which there's no such person as Hornschmeyer's, we made that up, but it's all kind of telling a story. And the album cover has this giant pterodactyl, and we're looking up at it, and it was fun and it was great, and that album did very well. The problem that we had, and then we went on another European tour. We played every festival in the United States except for Woodstock, because the album wasn't released quite at that time, but we played everywhere with every major artist that you can think of.
Truly,
everybody.
The Grateful Dead, Pink Floyd, Jimi Hendrix, Jefferson Airplane. I mean, a murderer's row of legendary acts.
Absolutely. And we're feeling like, wow, this is... we were in awe. But they were our age. They loved us. We loved them. It was great. We traveled with a lot of those groups. And the problem that we had, I think what led kind of to the demise, is people don't realize what it takes really to get a group on stage. I mean, you go to a concert, the curtain opens up, the group plays for an hour and a half, the curtain closes. People don't realize it actually took 22 and a half hours to get there.
Right,
and what do I mean by
course.
that? You're getting on an airplane at night, or you're going to your hotel, and you're getting up in the morning, and you're either riding a bus or you're getting on an airplane. You're flying to another city. Your crew is getting the gear up. Well, you got to do a sound check in the daytime. Mm-hmm. So you sit around the dressing room, and then they bring you, food that's I was so sick of, all the pizza and all this and that it's like.
It's a very unhealthy, and it's almost like an unreality that touring musicians live in that hasn't changed in 50 years. But
right.
I mean, it's such a weird spot to be in. It's hard to stay grounded in anything that passes for normal. And if you're a bunch of kids, you don't even have the frames of reference of what normal is supposed to be like.
Exactly correct. And we went into Columbia Studios. We didn't. Well, I have to get back to the what I had just mentioned about it really needed to be treated more like a business.
Yeah.
And you had two guys sharing a room all the time because it was cost effective.
Yeah.
We were on the road constantly. And, the arguments were like, I don't want to eat that. We ate that the other day. No, let's go. It's so stupid.
Right.
About what food you're going to eat. And so, in a way, it can become worse than a bad marriage because you're together 24/7.
For sure.
Right? So we managed that. I mean, that was okay. I think the problem was when we went back in the studio in Columbia, we started jamming to some tapes, and we didn't have, the material wasn't flowing, and we needed really a break.
Yeah.
And so Columbia said, well, you're due for another album now. And we tried, and it just didn't happen. And so we decided to end it at the end of 1970. And that's when the band disbanded. Jerry got a call from Columbia. John McLaughlin had signed to Columbia Records. And he wanted, I believe he may have wanted Jean-Luc Ponty. I don't know. This is not a knock on Jerry. I just,
They're looking for that sound. They were looking
that sound. And he said, wait a minute. I know this flock, this violinist on the flock. That guy would be perfect. And they said, they just broke up. He might be available. And he was. And I was so happy for him. And that was, talk about a unique group. And some of the material we're doing today, most dance music, 99% of the dance music is in what we call 4/4 time.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. That's what you dance to. Jerry wrote a song in 11/8, which is mind-boggling. And you don't have to find one. It's just magnificent. And he wrote another one in 13/8. And we play both of those songs. And they're like incredible instrumentals. The young people love them as well.
Sure.
And we do some of the first album material, some off the second album, and then some other things that we've made our own.
It sounds like those 2 years, textbook example of burning out before you fade away.
Yeah, for sure.
My gosh.
Absolutely.
So, years later, this isn't your primary concern. Is this just something fun at this point? Like it's
absolutely.
A chance to kick up old memories with old friends?
Yeah. What we did, I've always played. I got out of this and went into the manufacturing side of music. And for the last 20 years before I retired a few years ago, I was the director of North American sales for the Zildjian Company.
Sure.
If people know the Zildjian cymbals. And I did that. Am I a drummer? No. I'm a sales manager. I get it. I've done it for 45 years.
And what a powerful brand.
Powerful brand.
Yeah.
Yeah. The number one cymbal company. Great people. And they just celebrated their 400th year as a family-owned business.
I can't even imagine.
Started back in Istanbul in 1623. Oh, that's a story unto itself.
I'm sure.
And that's magnificent. But so we reformed the flock in 73. I went to a group called Aura that we signed to Mercury Records. That was 4 days and a night that became Giant City. They asked me to come in. I saw them on Rush Street. I was blown away with Al Lathan singing and the powerful. You want to talk about 10-wheel drive and groups that have that blood, sweat, and tears kind of sound, and it was magnificent. So we did that for a while, and then I reformed the flock with several of the original members, and we recorded an album called Inside Out on Mercury Records. Went back to Europe again, and then I was just burnt out.
Yeah,
I just
I bet.
gave it up. And then in 1999, I met up with Jimmy Rogers, who was with the Mods, and the original Mods drummer, Denny Horan, who was the drummer in Aura, who I played with.
Right.
Phenomenal drummer. He said, hey, we're jamming at the VFW Hall for a cellar reunion. So I said, okay, I'm coming down. And I met them, and it was great. They sounded great. And I get a call the next day from Jimmy, and he says, I'd like you to help me reform the Mods. I said, Jim, I can't do that. I'm not interested. And I hung up. And then he called me again. He says, look, I got Al Siner from American Breed and Rufus on guitar. I'd like you to be there. So I said, I'll come over to your house. And I loved it again. And just one thing led to another. And I brought in a guitar player, brought in Quint Lang, who's been around forever. He's a sax player who plays with us now. And we put the Mods together, and that was great. And then Jimmy Rogers passed away in 2010 of brain cancer. Okay, and then I found Al Lathan. Let's do Aura again. Again, this is just fun stuff.
Yeah.
Just fun. We're not making any money.
Right, yeah, the pressures of the old days are gone. It's just doing it for the love of the game.
Gone.
Yeah.
And then Al passed away. I mean, within a year, he had a massive heart attack, and he was great. He was in great shape, very fit. We said, what are we going to do? I got an idea, Mike Flynn says. Let's take this group we can't do Aura, but let's call it, we'll figure out a name. And he's telling his friends, hey, I'm getting together with Jerry Smith and da-da-da-da-da. And they go, what, those dinosaurs? It's like, perfect.
There it is.
Dinosaur Exhibit. That's what we called ourselves for a while. Jerry wasn't in it at the time. Howard Levy came in on harmonica, loved playing with us. These are all stellar musicians that we love each other and enjoy playing together. And all these guys have done it. They've played. Mike Flynn's played with everybody under the sun, either backing them up or on stage with these people. And and I had done it, and now Jerry has moved back. It's like, let's just call it the Flock, and just do that. Now you got two original members, not everybody. Some people passed away, but this is what the band would have been today had we carried on. That's what it is. The musicianship is stellar. I'm being totally honest.
Yeah.
Totally stellar, and we play off each other. Great trumpet player and Mitch the Lip. We've got the drummer from the Allman Brothers, Jamo Vandebogert, who's on the road with Fish. That's his main job, is he's the drum tech and also has to know every song in case the drummer goes down. So, professional people. And the problem is, there's a couple of the guys that still work. They have commitments.
Sure.
And we find those open dates that we say, how does this look? That's fine. I'm going to be in. How about for you? I'm going to be in too. Let's do it. We called Nick Miller, Park West. He goes, absolutely. You guys can. That'd be great.
How did I know Nick Miller was involved in some way, shape, or form? How did I know?
Yeah, great guy.
That's wonderful.
Yes. And so, it's not about money. We'll go over to like Hainani in Arlington Heights. I live right across the street. I know the owner very well. We got up there as a 7-piece several times. We sell the place out on Friday and Saturday. It's a lot of fun. But this has become really this bigger situation that we want to be involved in, and that's playing the bigger places.
Sure.
And if it's only a couple times a year, so be it. We played the Arcada in March, and we had like 700 people there, and that was wonderful. And we opened Ravinia, as I mentioned, a year ago in June 7th, And we played outside in the carousel because the main
Yeah,
stage wasn't ready. And so we've been with Steely Dan there before on the main stage. They love us there. But that was under Dinosaur Exhibit. So to come back as the Flock, doing some of that same material, but also different material that we played at with Dinosaur. So, we've got a book. We've got a book loaded with material, and we suit every gig. We suit the amount of time we have to play to the audience, and we come up with something that makes sense.
I love that you're doing this, and I love that you're keeping the flame lit. For me, as a student and a fan of music, specifically Chicago music, this is exciting. I love having this touchstone back to this era because I wasn't around then, and it's exciting for me to know that you guys are doing this and keeping those songs aloft for the generation that was there for you back then and for subsequent generations.
Thank you. And we were always considered way ahead of our time. In fact, Columbia would bill it as such. Like, what do we call this group? Country, rock, jazz, Latin? What do we call this?
At that time, those categorizations mattered.
Yeah, exactly.
Subgenres were not as preferred.
I mean, my favorite group back then was probably Weather Report.
Okay.
Jocko was
that says a lot.
Absolute favorite bass player. And that was kind of, this underground kind of really cool stuff. But we have vocals and we have instrumentals, and we kind of blend them together, and our music tells a story for the most part. The song that really got us going was Clown off our first album. And it kind of segues into this real ethereal center that if you close your eyes, it's just mesmerizing. Then it comes back into the song. But every night it's different because you allow that space. We know where it's going to come in. It's going to end here. And whatever we do in the middle is different every night.
That's a group that trusts each other.
Absolutely.
You have to have implicit trust to be able to go off on tangents on stage. Like know where you're going to start, know where you're going to finish, but to kind of find your way in the middle, that takes a trusted group of allies.
Right. Thank you. And it's fun. It's fun. And if we only play 3-4 gigs a year, 5 gigs a year, so be it. That's how I look at it. And if you want to see something really unique and different from what you've seen and heard before, come on out November 1st.
Perfect.
To the Park West.
Okay, so that's when we can see you. It's a Saturday night.
Yep.
I mean, really, there's no reason not to go. It's a Saturday night in Lincoln Park.
Yep.
Crisp fall night.
Yep, and the ticket prices are extremely reasonable.
I believe that's true, especially so because I tried to buy Rush tickets today when they went on sale. And the dynamic pricing involved made it so that I will just be secure in the knowledge that I've seen the band in the past and I'm not going to see them next year.
Right. It's a car payment.
It is.
For sure. Is. Well, I'll tell you, our price is $35 for...
Well, first of all, it's a value at any price, but yes.
But thank you. But we wanted to bring people in, particularly people... We have people that follow us, and we expect them to be there. Other people that may have heard of us, or their older brothers and sisters.
Exactly.
And in some cases, their parents have our albums.
Right.
And they come out to see us. And so that's a great feeling, and it's something unique. And there's Jerry Goodman in his glory playing electric violin like you've never heard before.
Do the labels, Columbia, Mercury, do they still own the rights to everything?
Good point. Columbia was bought out by Sony.
Right.
And I think Sony owns the rights. And
the reason why I ask is, is there a chance to re-release this stuff at some point?
We've talked about it. We've also talked about re-recording it.
So you can own it, yeah.
Because, Mike sings the lead vocals, and several of us sing the parts that we sang in the Flock. And the new instrumentation, we have the horns, but having Howard on keys and harmonica, you can't. I mean, that guy's. Have you heard him before? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a monster. So if we were going to the studio, I would do that in a heartbeat.
That makes sense.
I think we just got to get through this year.
Sure.
That's the only gig we're going to play is November this year. There's some other things we're working on. even Ravinia for next year.
Good. Okay.
Eric Soderstrom's a great guy, and he loves the band. And they cut their season short this year because they're doing construction on the stage. So I think they ended it a month or two earlier.
I thought it was just me. Okay.
No, yeah. That's what happened. And we just couldn't find the fit there. And we love to be on the main stage with a backup group. And in fact, when we played with Steely Dan, they invited Howard to come up because he had recorded some things with them. So he came up and played a song, and it was great.
I love it. I love that you're still doing this, and I love that we have the chance to see you November 1st at Park West. I've enjoyed hearing your stories, but all it tells me is we're all waiting for your book now.
Can I tell you? You have a second?
Yeah. Nothing but time.
What's that?
I've got nothing but time.
You got nothing but time. So we come back from one of the European tours, and I'm starting to tell people what's going on. And my best friend at the time was the head of publicity for Mercury Records. In fact, my wife, who I've been married to for 52 years, was the secretary to the president of Mercury.
My gosh.
Yeah,
okay.
That's how I met her. And through the record label. And one thing led to another. We got married 52 years ago. So Mike was the head of publicity, and also he was a writer for the Detroit Free Press, a music critic. And he said, "Man, you've got so many stories to tell." And I said, "Yeah." He said, "You got to write a book." I said, "Nobody cares." That was back then.
Yeah, of course.
That was back then. And he said, "Put some things down on tape."
Yeah.
Which I did, and I titled it Memoirs of Sort of a Rock Star. Because nobody really knew me, but they know everybody else that I'm talking about. I've been in rooms with everybody, and stories to tell, and it just never took off. It could still work, and I'll be seeing Mike in California, in LA in February.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need to be Pete Townsend. If you have good stories to tell, good stories trump everything else.
There's a story. Peter Grant was the manager of.
Oh, right.
You know about this?
Well, yeah, he was
Hammer of the Gods.
They pulled you off, or they cut the sound off before when you opened for Zeppelin, right?
Yeah, we were playing a major festival. It was called the Bath Festival in England, and we were fairly popular. Again, we were way more popular in Europe, I think, than we were here. I would say we were an A band there. We were a B+ band here.
Yeah, makes sense.
So we backed up Johnny Winter here. He backed us up, and we're apologizing for it, But so we're ready to go on stage on the main night, where really Zeppelin is kind of the headliner in a 3-night show.
So what year is this?
1970.
All right, so they are ascendant. They're like they're about to just go into hyperspace at that point.
Yes, 1970, and I didn't know they followed us, but I didn't know. I mean, I'm just a guy in the band.
Yeah.
They wanted to play when the sun was setting. Well, you can imagine all these groups going on stage, things running late, tearing down gear, putting up gear, sound issues. And all of a sudden we get on stage and we're in our second or third song and the power's cut. It's because Peter Grant wanted them to play when the sun was setting, and of course we're up now where the sun is setting. And there was a big fight that ensued, and it was ugly. In fact, he thought it was great. He wrote about it in his book called Hammer of the Gods. And he mentions that whole situation, and it was not good.
No, I can't imagine.
It wasn't good. But what was good was when we performed at the Rotterdam Pop Festival in 1970. We were with Pink Floyd, Jefferson Airplane, Santana, Dr. John. There was a bunch of groups. Again, another 3-day festival that had 350,000 people. It was the largest at that time concert ever.
Bananas, yeah.
And they made it into a movie, and it's called Stamping Ground, and you can see that movie on YouTube now.
Sure.
And I'm proud of that. I have the movie poster at home, the official movie poster, and there's our names, and I'm on the cover with Jerry Goodman. I'm on the.
That's amazing.
It's so weird. I don't know why we're on it, but So that's it's fun. I put my feather in my hat, but I'm a father, a granddad, and I enjoy watching my kids play sports and my grandkids, and I have friends that aren't in the music business. Then I have this little side of me. I am a better bass player today than I was 50 years ago.
I believe that.
How so? I've learned what I really need to know, and that's absolute time. Sometimes what you don't play, and I learned this from Steve Gadd, the drummer, famous drummer.
For sure.
I traveled with him on a tour through the United States when I was with Zildjian, and he did some seminars and clinics and things, and I was with him. And he said, sometimes it's what you don't play that makes sense. It's that space. Some things require that, and playing up and over or slightly behind the beat, you can't be ahead of it, and that's locking down with the drummer, and I feel confident in that, where back then it's like, hey, here I am,
right.
melodic bass player just going all over the place, and that's what most groups did. But I'm older now, obviously more mature. Everybody's a stellar musician. I mean, I'm learning from these guys, and it's fun.
I love that. Okay, so again, November 1st, the Flock, Park West. So glad to meet you. Thank you so much for
James.
chatting with me on this. I really appreciate it.
I had a great time. Anytime. It was wonderful.
Amazing.